I've been playing fighting games for years. I've labbed alone, I've lost alone, and if you can believe it, I've also won alone. That's just the genre that's part of the deal of fighting games. Then 2XKO came along and made me realize how much of that was actually wearing on me, and it let me enjoy fighting games from a totally new perspective. In 10 days, I'm going to be commentating this event. It's Red Bull Knockout in Paris, the first 2v2 only 2XKO invitational of its kind, where the best 2 players of each nation will be teaming up and battling it out for the title of Best Duo in the World. And with Riot themselves announcing the release of a duo ranked mode soon, I wanted to give 10 reasons on what makes the duo system in 2XKO so special. When you lose, it feels half as bad. It's quite literally like your duo partner there is to shoulder the burden of the loss with you. The sadness is shared, the responsibility to improve for next time is shared. And it's so much easier to move on from tough losses and maintain a strong mind for the next match. When you win, it feels twice as good because you've accomplished something as a team, something that's scarcely been done before in the FGC.
Let's go! Yes! Jeez.
And it's likely the first time you felt that during a fighting game, and it's something you can only really get playing 2XKO's duos. This moves us on really nicely onto our next point. Making a sick comeback and having your duo hype you up for the clutch is just so different, man. When you play fighting games by yourself and manage to clutch a win from the jaws of defeat, sure, it feels good, but it rarely feels hype. It's mostly relief and catharticism. You're thinking, thank goodness I didn't lose. But when you make that 1v2 insane comeback into 2XKO as a duo, you didn't just win. You put your teammate on your back and you carried them across the finish line, using your skill, your abilities, and it just leads to moments like this.
Level 1 would have watched, you would have teleported out.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have been able to kill, I guess. I don't know if it would have hit the recovery, I guess.
Nice, Laz.
It's
Laz?
him, baby. It's him.
Okay, wait. We can't end on
Let's go. Yeah.
If we end on a win, we look like...
If you've ever clutched a 1v3 in League of Legends or Valorant or other games, you know exactly what I mean. But it's just not something you can traditionally experience in fighting games due to how solitary they are. Different champions are actually better for different reasons when playing as a duo in 2XKO, which can completely change the meta. Underrepresented or weak characters might still have a place if you can find someone to team up with. As an example, Jinx is a champion not often seen on a lot of the strong solo teams, but due to her unique and very strong puppeting options, she can be absolutely terrifying in a duo. I'll keep this short, but puppeting is basically just a series of inputs you can program to the champion no longer on point. Now, these can range from easy to very hard to quite literally impossible when you're playing as a solo. But now if you add a duo partner to handle all that programming, you're going to be pulling off stuff like this. Combine this point with number 7 on this list and suddenly team building in duos can become so unique. When someone confirms in an awkward way from an unconventional hit, it is very impressive by fighting game standards, and generally shows a level of mastery of the game. Now, confirming a hit from your partner that you weren't expecting feels twice as impressive, because it works off of pure reactions and synergy. The opposite can be true in this case though. Sometimes you can mess up your partner's combos unintentionally or intentionally if you're that way inclined, which can lead to some very funny moments. Mix. Totally intentional, you're welcome. You can come up with some pretty unique and fun gameplay strategies. For example, did you know the sidekick Fuse has assists that can still run? Now, this used to be a feature in the old Alpha Labs for all Fuses, but this was promptly removed since it made for some pretty negative play patterns. These days, I can't really confirm if it'd be too powerful or not if it came back, but it can be used in some pretty fun ways. How does it apply to the duos, since this can be used solo as well? Well, it's just a fun thing to experiment with, since it gives an extra layer to the assist player which you could mess around with, and you can come up with some pretty gnarly things. Now, I don't recommend you play sidekick as a duo, but it is fun to experiment. I once entered a tournament as a duo, and in one matchup we just picked the Juggernaut fuse and took turns per round to play. We tag each other in at round start and let the other have at it. Now, is there any strategic advantage to this? Definitely not, but it was a great moment for the stream. Improving over time in a whole new direction. You see, improving is one of the cornerstones of the FGC, and in all games, there's always a variety of things to improve on. It could be a neutral game, your matchup knowledge, your execution. These are things that can transfer across all fighting games. But until 2XKO, I doubt anyone's had to improve their teamwork in a fighting game. Having a whole new dimension you can improve in makes getting better as a duo so much more fun. Not only will you be getting better individually at your own personal skills, but then when you start getting better at communicating together or timing your assist calls, or even get to the point where you don't even need to communicate at all, it's just a whole new way to learn a fighting game, and it's just as satisfying to get better at as anything else. Since as the point character you don't have full agency on the assist calls, you have to work differently in neutral. It's not quite as reliable as if you could input it yourself. And for 2XKO, a few frames can make all the difference between getting a counter hit or getting happy birthdayed. But this gives more value to other assists. Assists you can kind of set and forget or have a very distinct purpose. For example, projectile assists are much better as a duo because you can send them and the point character can just react to the situation. DP assists can be extremely useful, but you can only really use them if the opponent is trying to jump in on your partner. So having a dedicated use for them can mean that you are only looking out for those situations. And this again opens up the floor to team building, as now different champion assists might be perfect for duo play but less good for solo play. Labbing and practicing is twice as effective. You have two minds to work with, so coming up with winning strategies and setups is much more an enjoyable journey compared to doing it just by yourself. And your partner may come up with ideas that you might not have had yourself. Now, this can extend to in-game moments as well. The player who's tagged out can focus more on the opponent and gather information which can be fed into the player on point, who might not have noticed those things themselves. This can take mid-match, mid-set adaptations much quicker, as you have 4 pairs of eyes to catch habits and the like. The next point also plays on this heavily. Adaptations are the name of the game for fighting games, and adapting to 2 people is just objectively twice as hard, especially if the players have distinct enough playstyles, as fighting games are often compared to a dance or something of the like. There's rhythm, there's a flow, and when you add duos to the mix in 2XKO, it can feel like you're dancing foxtrot 1 minute, playing against someone who's trying to slow the game down, but then the moment they tag in their duo partner who plays much more aggressively, suddenly you have to switch to a salsa type pace, and this back and forth can really work to throw people off their game. And this one is fairly straightforward. Break baiting is actually significantly more difficult on a duo. Since the break is entirely up to the assist player, it becomes even more difficult to find the time for a break bait. Since if you hit the point character, there's no guarantee the assist player will be ready for an immediate reaction, or even might be waiting for a different moment you were expecting. And that concludes the 10 things that I love about duos in 2XKO. It's really the reason that's bringing me back and making me want to play this game is the duo functionality, you know. It's the thing that sets it apart from all other fighting games. So, of course, if you want to see some more duo action, I mean, you can catch me on the broadcast at the Red Bull Knockout event, sharing the mic with other amazing talents such as Dunk, Damascus, Sajam even. That's going to be a lot of fun. And man, it is going to be incredible, you know, having 7, 8 teams even, one qualifying from an LCQ. From Ionia, the thematics are on point, definitely. But having 7 teams from all different countries playing for the top spot of duos, and I think there's going to be quite a few surprises. I think there's going to be quite a few upsets this tournament. Having an invitational, it's just the perfect format to really exemplify what makes the duos in 2XKO so special. It's only in 10 days, so just keep an eye out for that. And hey, you know, if you find yourself around Paris in 10 days time, buy yourself a ticket, do yourself a favor, go watch some peak 2XKO action.